Hi there, my name is Ben Keat, and I'm just going to make a video about the uh, commodities that my companies, SAFCOMMS and UMOSRAS, actually have, and how the three websites or the three facets of these two companies, Sierra.uk, UMOSRAS.uk, and SpaceTM.uk, operate together, and how the whole process um, syncopates as one identity, which is in fact the whole reality of the Moses practice. Um, so Sierra.uk is primarily an education website that, even without the existence of UMOSRAS and the platform of Able City and everything that UMOSRAS is going to entail, Sierra is in place already. It's in the psyche, I suppose, as a process where people can undergo a six-step program where they can develop into a serif from being blank slated and coming through a six-step program of building yourself up, escalating, and developing yourself as a hyper-developed human being, from one of a better word, which is the best way to describe the step three and also the step six at that level. A lot of the things step three will be processing a sort of a raw a raw conglomeration of information, rather than actually processing in a succinct way using computers, in ways that people can see similarities between how modern day computer programs, computer games, and that sort of thing are invented. So the serif, I suppose, syncopates this raw data, but in the same way, in a hyper developed way that a hyper-developed human being would engineer themselves as a super intellect, I suppose, is basically what we're actually creating with the Seraphim. We're designing to develop on the Sierra platform. So even without the UMOSRAS reality, even without having the physical reality of a platform as UMOSRAS and a university building, or an academy, if you like, where, as Sierra's name suggests, the Stealth Arc of Eno Realm Academy is going to be an academy which has processes within it, including incorporating into it the design of Server the Village. So without the UMOSRAS reality, even if that doesn't go ahead, I'm intending to launch Server the Village either on the Livebook as a virtual process of being able to use a command line, a Linux command line, for a certain fee, the one-off fee that will ultimately become something that you can physically turn into your own platform, and ultimately get a public IP address, which you'll be able to develop into a system that you can use to access, proxy servers and DNS servers and everything else to share your wares with the rest of the world, and ultimately make it a profitable system for you and the other people that use your system. So that's a bit about Sierra and how Sierra is going to develop. The other side of the village is that we intend to have a VPS, virtual private server data center here in the centre of Stroud, where there'll be a drop-in center where people will be able to access servers and talk about developing their own system and how to set things up and everything else. We'll have experts be able to actually show them rather than actually have to do it for them or tell them what to do on a remote system, which will also be available. But as part of the process, we're going to have people drop in and ultimately use their universal arts and sciences that they learn at the academy to mesh with Serve the Village. That's the ultimate plan. So that as they develop their life stories, their life realities, their experiences, people they meet, the people they talk to, the ideas they develop, the ideas they bounce off each other, they're able to put their own legitimate ideas into process through Serve the Village and develop it into something that will ultimately take us off world. It'll ultimately develop a universal reality to the space program, if you like. So that's a bit about Sierra. Now that meshes nicely, as I said, with the Livebook at the moment. So moving straight on spacetm.uk, The reality of SpaceTM.uk is, it's a future reality that's going to change the dimensions of the locality where we live. So we're going to have a duality of space in this location of the planet, which will be able to be tapped into and accessible to use all the communications technologies like KMOD, which if you look at my SpaceTM.uk website, you'll see information about KMOD, which is the channeling, the data streaming system that is enabled to improve the existing structure of mobile phone networks, or even our own Wi-Fi hub in our own house, or our broadband systems, wherever it may be. It'll improve that system and turn it into something that is much more secure, has many more different sort of almost like off-world apps, if you like, and the capability of being able to access people's networks through the IPv6 system. That's also part of the SpaceTM, and very integral in the locations of the planet where SpaceTM will be used and accessed. So how this ties in with Sierra is, one of the commodities that SpaceTM is going to channel is the Lifebook, or is already channeling, is the Lifebook. And the Lifebook is something that can be used to access information and share information, look into universal stories, sign up for packages, from existing global channels as well as part of it, but also, access Serve the Village on it, and access a large part of the universal stories, and learn and interface with this technology so that we can get involved in the universal stories, at the same time learn something from them as we interface with them. So it'll be a process of teaching and learning, like a UMOSRAS process, which I haven't really gone into detail on my websites, but that's, if UMOSRAS is Universal Micro-Organized Stealth Realm Arc Systems, and UMOSRAS is Universal Micro-Organized Teacher-Student Arc Systems. So there are two processes here where you teach your teacher, if you like, in an ESP method, and you are able to learn sort of ultimately everything you need to learn that meshes with your system. Right, so that's part of the process of SpaceTM, and the next level up is more to do with creating the universal realities through the SpaceTM commodities. So I talk about the different commodities there. The other things we have in the company are SIPE, Communications Enhancement and Integration Program. And other things to do with the universal realities that we're setting up in this creative ambiance. So I've talked about the Lifebook, talked about KMOD, talked about the IPv6 system, crime and accident, premonition and prevention systems, and also a whole network of other security technology, such as the reality of system splits and quarantines in a system that is able to take out pervasive viral threats and neutralize certain trendy in the market technologies that has too much clout for its own good and doesn't actually distribute evenly the creative product belonging to the individual people, sometimes meaning that their own creative product doesn't return to them. So obviously we're challenging the system to a certain extent with SpaceTM and saying we're going to have an even playing field of technology where all these different technologies, they can compete for improvement of service to the general system, rather than enriching people with things that isn't actually anything to do with themselves. And people are gonna get their sanity back through the system. We're gonna have a whole system where people can actually access their own creative technologies through their own platform, and not have to become part of the media maelstrom where everything gets sucked up and shared out only to the rich and famous, who can then regurgitate the realities that these people have put in place and turn it into products that are nothing to do with the original pioneer of these realities. This is something I've been up against for a long, long time. This is the original reason for creating SAFCOMMS, to liberate the creators, the original purveyors of creation, and to enable them to have access to their own reality and use it as their own company. And ultimately, this is also a way in which it ties in with the Sierra reality of making people seraphim with their own product returned to them after going through the whole knowledge acquisition database senior program of developing your system and enabling you to have a large contingency plan of reality for your own eventuality and your own practice in the end. So that's SpaceGM. And then finally, the UMOSRAS platform is if you like, it's the parent of the whole thing. It's the housing, it's the reality that as the academy comes into reality and in UMOSRAS and the whole university and the whole realm of ENA and Able City and the whole platform, the think tank and everything, it's all part of the system to feed this whole student senior process of development for the vast majority of people in the city, in the realm. Obviously, there are people who are older already and wiser, and they've been through a whole system on Earth. It has similarities. The different systems on Earth will have fed these people to come to this zone in the first place, or come to this zone laterally as the reality of UMOSRAS starts to manifest. And they will have all had this opportunity to create a reality for themselves on the Earth in a system or systems that are similar to the whole Sierra reality, the Sierra eventuality. So they will have actually been able to go through a process that makes them, say, an elder on the system, for example, someone who, although they haven't been through the whole Sierra program, they're in a position of responsibility to be either endowed with people's CADSs to share the knowledge acquiescence database senior out with the existing legal infrastructure for it to return in the legal organizational direction so that it can be part of the practice of each senior who develops the academy. Or secondarily to that, the whole process can also be involved in the education of people in the university ambiance, say, of Amberley and the location here where I live in Gloucestershire. That is also something I'm looking for people to be part of and to help students develop in the system as UMOSRAS reality comes. Finally, the mountains of UMOSRAS, and the inner walls as well, walls 1 and walls 2. Then the inner walls are the public sector, and these shall be also practitioners from the reality, showing their phenomena with the public sector, and therefore creating practices within the public services of the UMOSRAS platform. While at the same time, the private sector will be being dealt with in walls 2 in the mountains on the outside, and we'll have people developing practices that can be part of the private sector and turn the reality of their creation into practices that originally ambassadors will see to fruition up to the point where the senior takes over and the seraph actually develops the reality that they have for themselves. And these ambassadors obviously will, they'll put us through our paces. These seniors who are developing, as I've been through my paces because of ambassadors, I understand the whole situation. And until you actually look after your whole practice, until you have everything covered, the money, where the profit goes, how we make it profitable for the platform, how the whole business plan is structured, everything else, until that is actually in place, and the senior will not have full possession of his own practice. And this is how the ambassadors are going to work it. They're going to hold on to it for as long as possible, paying their taxes to the realm, but at the same time, definitely having to teach these seniors really to become more robust than, say, someone who's slightly between step 5 and step 6, like an ambassador, or step 4 and step 5, depending on the type of ambassador. And obviously, these seniors are going to have to burst through this and prove that they are also top businessmen as well. This is important. They've got to look after their own system, their own reality. It's no use letting it run away with yourself and not quite have the security up to scratch to protect your system from all eventualities. There's a whole experience that I've had in the whole process of becoming a senior that is, it'll cause people a lot of heartache to become a senior because they'll find so many things aren't working that they haven't thought about, and they'll learn it in the process. And the whole purpose of me doing this first and having the whole Sierra experience in the first place is to entitle people to understand a bit more about the sort of thing that has to be done, to give a bit of help to the angels coming through, if you like, the people developing on the system. And that's basically what I'm here for. So, anytime, day or night, give me a call, get in touch. And if you're part of the Sierra program or want to be involved in anything else to the program, the SpaceGM.uk or the UMOSRAS platform, please come and visit us. Please get in touch. And this should be my final video on the website. This is about everything I've done and the fullness of the whole plan to do with all three facets of SAFCOMMS and UMOSRAS. So yeah, thanks for listening, and please get in touch by email or call me or whatever if you want to discuss options. Certainly we can sell certain products or certain realities of SpaceTM, the security phenomena and the communications technology and all that sort of thing, to the wider world as something that is profitable for the realities of our platform. For example, with SpaceTM, we can certainly sell SIPE to people and KMOD and the IPv4 system. We can facilitate that so people can use it in the processes, such as for NASA or for other space programs on the planet. These things are available. We can offer our services. We want it to be profitable for the platform. We want as many people involved. If you want to work for SpaceTM, if you want to get involved in our technology and you have something to give to our reality and you think you can help us develop our systems and make it more robust, then certainly we'll take all comers who intend to improve the system. We don't particularly want people who intend to take away from the system. We want people who intend to improve the system, because we feel we're robust enough already to a certain extent to have the security that we require. But with a few extra people in the network who want to improve the system, and in a locality, especially of Gloucestershire I'm talking about, who may want to work for either the Academy or SpaceTM, the two working components of the whole UMOSRAS platform, if you like. And that's a good way to leave it. So if you think of SpaceTM and Sierra.uk as two components, working components within the platform of UMOSRAS, there are the cogs, the machination, the way the future reality can become profitable for us and the wider world, and how we can exist as an entity on the planet that does not take away from the planet, that actually gives back to the planet and feeds and nurtures our whole area, including ourselves, but also ultimately the rest of the world. Thanks for listening.